Welcome to game number 4 between WhiteRa and Dimaga in the show match brought to you by SC2Saga.com. Again, that is SC2Saga.com. I cannot thank those guys enough for setting up the show match since they have been excellent games thus far. It is game number 4 with Dimaga in the lead 2-1. Dimaga has gone win, loss, win, if you are wondering, and has been using the same style every single game, even though WhiteRa has changed it up just a little bit each game. In the last game, he went double Stargate into carriers, and the 2 games before that, he played a little bit standard. The second game, he did win, but he won after doing a 1-gate expand, which is definitely very risky. You won't see WhiteRa doing that every game because if Dimaga does end up scouting it, then he can just build units and win. It is a risky build. That's why you don't see WhiteRa doing it every game, since it worked one time, but it's not something you can do constantly. While Dimaga is showing, yes, I can do my Ling Bling versus many styles of Protoss. It is very, very safe. And even against that double Stargate carrier, I thought was a build order loss for Dimaga, and I bet WhiteRa did as well. Dimaga showed us, okay, I can just morph 30 Banelings, take out the wall, and then kill all his dudes, and then eventually irk out a win. WhiteRa is going to be coming in here, going to stop the mining just momentarily, doesn't really do anything there. Is going to sap the drone again, that is not really doing too much. We will have the Forge built at 14 for WhiteRa. And now the probe is going to be going on back to mine, and we'll see when he ends up getting that Nexus. Most likely it will be around 16, I think. Dimaga has shown he loves the 15 pool into a 15 hatch, has tried to do that every game, but WhiteRa, after 2 games in a row, has started to come down here to block this hatch off, so Dimaga has been forced to build his 16th drone, sends a drone out to take care of this probe. Once the probe retreats, this is the drone that ends up building the first expansion at the 3rd base. We see WhiteRa is going to be blocking that with the pylon, so this one drone going to be chasing the probe out, and then he will be going over here to build a hatch if the past games serve him correct. And there he goes, going to be doing that, playing the games exactly like he has in the past. And WhiteRa, you can see he has changed up his builds each game, trying to just find that build order win against Dimaga, and that is what WhiteRa is known for. Not that it's a bad thing, it's his special tactics that you don't see many Protoss doing. WhiteRa just has absolutely crazy builds, and WhiteRa going to be going with the gateway before the cannon because Dimaga isn't one to put early pressure on nowadays, it seems like, at least in this show match. He will be taking his 3rd base right at 345, and again, very standard compared to his previous games. And that is a relatively fast expansion. These 2 lanes are going to go immediately over here. Just check the high ground and ensure there are no pylons or cannons morphing in to deal with this very fast expansion over at the 3rd base. The Overlord going to be getting away as the cannon is finishing. He just wants to keep the Overlord in this area so we can see the gas timings to see if WhiteRa is going to be going into any Stargate play again. And now we have probes going on that gas, and we'll be going on this gas when that finishes. The 2 gases relatively closely timed to each other, and he will be getting a cybernetics core very shortly. I'm surprised it hasn't gone down already. That Nexus is going to be finishing, the probe coming down here, and I assume this is the guy that is going to build the cybernetics core. And that's a little bit odd spot to put. I think the pylon would allow it to be put like right there, and this is a pretty big hole. I mean, looking at this, that is definitely a 2 Zealot hole in the wall. Dimaga does see this, so he will be able to run past 1 Zealot. And maybe that's what WhiteRa's plan is. Like, okay, try to run past the Zealot. This is a big-time bait. You run past it, I'll stop you, kill all your units, and then do a vicious counterattack. We do have the 1 Zealot moving across the map. The Ling is going to be retreating. We have a Queen at each base, and a Queen and a few drones can easily deal with the Zealot with minimal losses. So Dimaga not really worried about this 1 single Zealot. Looking like we had a quick pause there, but the Zealot is going to be moving into Dimaga's 2nd base at the 3rd base location. There are 3 drones and a Queen. That is more than enough to deal with the Zealot. Of course, 1-on-1, a Zealot does beat a Queen, and some micro on that Zealot going by, and Dimaga losing 1 drone. And now the drone does get away. And that 2nd drone even going to get away as well. And like I did say, 1-on-1, a Zealot will beat a Queen. But with the help of those drones to absorb damage and do damage, the Queen can easily build it. And WhiteRa just traded a Zealot for a single drone. Didn't really do all that much. He did kill some mining time, but that was definitely not an efficient trade for WhiteRa right there. But it wasn't a bad trade. I mean, you're going to lose Zealots every now and then, and WhiteRa actually double-checked, and he thinks that is a complete wall. You did see the probe went on both sides, could not get past the Zealot, so maybe that is a complete wall, but I think Lings could easily run right on past it. We do have Dimaga running in, but he doesn't have speed just yet, and this is one of those walls where if you just spam click right here, or anywhere past the Zealot, Lings will eventually budge their way through, I believe. We do have Dimaga getting his double Evo chambers for upgrades. Still no lair. Really like starting those upgrades before getting a lair out. And this is much like Stefano's ZVT. With a little twist as Dimaga did make it work for ZVP. And those Lings did end up running right past that Zealot like I did say they could. And now he's going to come try to get a scout on, but a force field does go down. Blocks all the view, so even though those Lings did get past, he did sacrifice a handful of Lings there. I think it was 6. Yeah, I believe it was 6, as one drone has died. And didn't really do anything. He didn't come up here to see WhiteRa going for a Warp Prism play with 6 gates. Going to be getting 1 sentry and 3 Zealots in that. And Dimaga may be wondering something because that was only 1 sentry he saw at 8:45, and that is not many sentries. You would expect to see more sentries at that marking, but he has a lot of Lings on this washout, which is a big mistake. They should be back on home since there was definitely a shortage of sentries. And here we go, WhiteRa going to be coming in here, moving in a lot of Zealots. And all Dimaga can build are Lings and Banelings to deal with these Zealots. As long as WhiteRa doesn't clump up all his Zealots, he will be just fine. This 1 sentry still has enough for a single force field, and lots of drones are falling right now. Force field does go down, and Banelings are going to be coming. 1 Zealot does fall. Only 2 Zealots fell from that. A lot are injured, but not really that much. More Zealots morphing in, and Lings getting a surround on them, but that is a lot of Zealots to deal with the relatively few number of Lings. 10 Zealots to the 23 Lings now, and it's only morphing in more and more Zealots. WhiteRa even going to take out some of those drones. That 1-1 not finished for Dimaga. You can see it now just starting to complete. So these Zealots are 2-shotting those Zerglings when they are not supposed to have. WhiteRa just came 20 seconds later. The outcome of this fight would have been completely different, as Dimaga would have that upgrade advantage. But now the Zealots storming their way down to the natural, killing off 14 drones so far. The Warp Prism going to be moving. Lots of Banelings morphing in, and those Banelings will be more than enough to deal with those Zealots. So the Zealots going to start kind of splitting up, and the Banelings are not cost-effective against Zealots if they are split up. But that does mean that the Lings can get surrounds on each Zealot and be cost-effective against them. So it is a funny way that works. And now WhiteRa going to be morphing in Zealots at this 3rd base. And Dimaga, I don't think he can hold on anymore. The supply is still relatively close, but WhiteRa still has a lot of those Zealots live. Drones have been pulled, and now 23 drones have been killed. 28 drones to 41 probes. Even more Zealots morphing in. And this is not looking good for Dimaga at all. Handful of Zealots just go into the middle line, target down the drones as these Zealots keep those Zerglings busy. And now a Zealot going to be taking out this 1 Queen, and Dimaga doesn't have any Lings left. 10 more on the way, but this is going to be it. There goes the GG. WhiteRa going to be taking game number 4, tying the series 2-2, and brought more Zealots over here to kill off even more drones. Hope you've enjoyed the games thus far. We will be going into game number 5 very shortly.